Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, as usual. 3 videos for you today, 3 good ones. We're going to talk about it. But anyhow, welcome aboard. In the house first, numero uno, El Señor Michael Rudnin, El Señor AVQ. How you doing, my brother? Great to see you here. Second in the house, I believe it is, I'm scrolling down, Yvette Avery Herod. Numero dos, she says good afternoon. She's from Atlanta, Georgia. Michael Rudnin from Brooklyn, New York. Joe and numero tres coming in from Los Angeles, California, or Santa Monica. Which one is it? Los Angeles or Santa Monica? Then we have, of course, El Señor Anthony Lofranco. Are we live today? We are live every day, twice a day. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, we are live at 6 a.m. Central Time and at 3 p.m. Central Time. When I am not live, I'll put something out there to let you know that it's not a live program. If for some reason I'm off somewhere, I'm in the field doing something or whatever, you will know my dear brother Anthony Lofranco. All right, Patrick Magner is in the house from Houston, Texas. By the way, Lofranco, where are you from? We also have para ver. Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas is in the house. Anthony Lofranco is from Laguna Beach, California. Thank you for letting us know. And Melanie Keelan is in the house. She says, Good Friday. Melanie Keelan is from Barcelona, Spain. Wait, let me see something here. I am mixed up on dates, you know. Let's see. May ends on the 31st, so that means there's no Ask Egberto is next week. Got it. All right. Carl Cox is in from Riverdale, Georgia. Welcome aboard. And for those of you on Substack, welcome aboard. I've missed the first 40, of course, but we have in the house Michelle Honorato, Fred Gundy, Denise Medina, S. Prather, H. Mallet Poole, Still I Rise. That is from, what's her name? The poet. And Ann Glass, welcome aboard. I'd love to know where you're from, your city and state. You guys could throw that into the feed. If you're on the app for Substack, just type it in. Otherwise, if you're on the screen, click on that video, and it'll give you another video with a place to put messages. Because I love talking to my folks, so welcome aboard. All right, what else have we got here? Carl Cox is in. Michael says, Still I Rise. Maya Angelou, exactly. I don't remember like I used to, man. I don't know what's going on. Anyway. Michael Rudner says, first of 3. You're going to weigh me down with 3, but Michael, you've earned it. You have earned it, brother. All right. The Guardian, RFK Jr. threatens ban on federal scientists publishing in top medical journals. U.S. Health Secretary calls leading medical journals such as Lancet corrupt and pushes to create state-run alternatives. He's ridiculous. He comes out with a false paper that we're going to talk about later on, and he has the nerve to say that. The second Trump administration has taken an axe to scientific research, with the NIH funding cut by more than $3 billion since the year before. Kennedy has also purged an estimated 20,000 health department staff from the government. The funding cuts and personnel charge changes have prompted some U.S. scientists to consider relocating abroad, with countries including France, Germany, Spain, and China actively recruiting American research. You know what is a good thing? Before the Trump administration took over those servers, etc., we had a lot of angels, internet angels, that downloaded the vast amount of data that you can't find now. If you go, a lot people would have a lot of documents out there, and they'll have links, and the links would go to a .gov government site. You would not imagine the number of cleaning, antiseptic cleaning of a lot of those things where you click on it, it says 404, meaning the document is no longer there. The good thing about it is there are two things. We have the look back machine, the archives that archive the internet. I have been able to find some documents that went missing on the look back machine so that we could actually go ahead and get that old data that was on the government website. But here's the problem with a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff is generated dynamically, and I am not sure if all forms of dynamic data generation is actually pulled down by the look back machine. I think it is, but I'm not completely sure. But I hope it is. But a lot of data is gone. All right, 2 or 3. RFK MAHA report found to contain citations, non-existent studies. I'm not going to read that one, Michael, because that is one of the subjects that we have. But thank you for giving the Guardian link for that. Very important. Third one, this is what happens when a conspiracy nutter gets up in charge of scientific medical agencies. So many of our researchers are about to move abroad to Europe and China, where they'd be welcome with raises and infrastructure. I can see our near future. Imagine the possibility of RFK controlling government-run scientific review websites and personally approving or rejecting medical publication as they suit him. And grown, fascism is a death cult. When you get down to its core, it's suffering for the sake of suffering and death for the sake of death. Fascists will endorse things that make no sense for anyone, including them, because they like the suffering. It is a death cult. Tautology by Vaush. But you're so right, Brother Rudnin. You are so right. All right, Brother Denson said, Harry Denson from Missouri City says, good afternoon, El Professor Activist Willies. My brother Alan says, hi. Harry Denson from Missouri City. Hey, tell Alan I said hi. I give him my regards. I hope he's feeling better. Who else have we got here? We got Eric Hayes. Eric Hayes is still trying to push ridiculous stories like it makes any sense, right? People are being paid good salaries, but you know what he actually said? There's something that he said that tells more about Eric than anything else. He pointed out in a message, one of these messages that he gave us this morning, that guess what? Guess what he said? He said that it really upset him that a lot of these people holding these managerial jobs, right, are what? People of color. I don't know why he thought he had to say that, but he said that this morning in the chat. I'm like, my God, Eric, don't show your colors so obviously. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let me tell you, you cannot look at the latest information and think that is what it's going to be. As far as, oh, this is what I looked at I looked at the actual website. There are on the actual website. It shows 4 people that made over $400,000. Eric, just want to let you know. All right, you better look at the difference between what benefits and all of that adds up to, not salary only. All right, continuing. Whoops. Oh, guys, I screwed up. I lost. I went ahead and hit the. Let me see if I can get it back. My mouse hit the wrong button, guys. And what it did to me is it got rid of some of your. Let's see if I back up, if I can get back there. I doubt it. I doubt if I can. Now I can't. Oh my God. Hold on with the comments on one side, because I'm losing all those comments. Guys, that is my bad. That is my fault. And my fault only. I hit a key and lost the chat. And that chat is volatile. So I don't have any chat. I don't have any of the chats that you've just placed in there. I'm sorry. I can look at some of them on Facebook. Joyce Mata, I can see Joyce Mata on Facebook says, this is real. Let's see what she says here. Parvet. Let me go ahead and see if I can do some of it here on the website here. bear with me, folks. I screwed up, and when I screw up, I try to make good. Maybe it'll come. Maybe the Facebook ones will come down. Let me go ahead and see if I can get some of the YouTube ones. I can get some of the YouTube ones separately, but I have a combination of all of my things together. Oh, so that's a spammer. Thank you, brother. Okay, Egberto, you said people lied. That was you. They lied. You lied, Eric. You said over 10 people made over $400,000. You lied, as well as Art lied. There's no, I mean, not Art, Brad lied. You both lied. You didn't say, I think. You said more than. You all lied. Let's get it that clear. Okay. Thank you, brothers and sisters. All right. I was able to recover, not in the combined chat, but let's see. Joyce, let's see. What else I've got here? Okay. I tell you what, beforehand, Substack folks, if you want me to call you out for your city state, I'd love to have your city state. But welcome Dale, Joe, Jean Beck, Laurie Lee, Sandy, Noel Keith, Pamela Bowen, Barbara Travis, Julian Shalin, and Glass. Okay, here comes our first video. Hey, look, Eric, put a can in that particular that stuff, okay? Because you guys are full of it. That it turned out what bothers all of you is that you guys, and I'll tell you, you're my buddy, but you're a racist buddy of mine. What you said earlier proves it. And I will tell you that the next time I see you for coffee in your face. And in the process, I will attempt to make you a different person. But you are a racist, brother. All right, let's continue. Let's go ahead and move on with our first video. And this one has to do with what Michael brought up as far as the incompetent RFK. Here we go, and we're going to talk about that afterwards. I've consistently said that Donald Trump would have done well if he kept DEI in progress and hired a DEI expert to help him hire his cabinet secretaries, because it seems like he is loaded with a group of incompetent buffoons as the people who run his government. We have Hegseth, who is nothing more than an incompetent drunk and woman abuser. We have the others that are. We have a education secretary who doesn't know the difference between AI and A1 steak sauce. And now we have, of course, RFK, whose first report, major report, Make America Healthy Again, turns out to be nothing more than quackery and a fraud. And it's being called out by the professionals as people who supposedly are experts that are quoted in the paper, never wrote these paper, never gave access to these to any of the crap that he has within the document. So once again, the president maybe should have used DEI in his hire for his cabinet secretaries. Ironically, the three competent people that he have on his staff right now would actually, if a MAGA person went ahead and analyzed them in some other administration, they would say, oh, those are DEI hires. Because again, the competent ones are folks with Latin names, with a different hue, or with a gender issue, with a gender difference from what many would like them to be. Again, want you to listen to this piece, a very important piece, and then we'll take it on the other side.
New evidence that a major government report on your kids' health, one claiming to be rooted in gold standard science, is, according to experts, riddled with fake citations, non-existent studies, and questionable scientific conclusions. Analysis by the New York Times, the Washington Post, and others found that multiple studies used to justify the report's findings on everything from ADHD to prescription drugs were mischaracterized or simply made up. Some citations included digital markers that, according to the Post, prove they were generated by artificial intelligence. At least 21 links to articles and studies simply went nowhere. On Thursday, the White House tried to dismiss the errors as inconsequential, even while seeming to pin the blame elsewhere.
I understand there were some formatting issues with the MAHA report that are being addressed, and the report will be updated, but it does not negate the substance of the report, which, as you know, is one of the most transformative health reports that has ever been released by the federal government and is backed on good science that has never been recognized by the federal government.
And a quick follow-up, can you talk about what tools or research goes into production of these kinds of reports? For instance, is it AI that's used to put together these reports now?
I can't speak to that. I would defer you to the Department of Health and Human Services. What I know is just what I told you.
Well, the executive director of the American Public Health Association suggests this is about facts, not formatting, telling the Post, quote, "This is not an evidence-based report, and for all practical purposes, it should be junked at this point. It cannot be used for any policy making. It cannot even be used for any serious discussion because you can't believe what's in it." Maggie, tell us more about this report and the so-called evidence that it's based on.
So this report is was presented as a comprehensive look at children's health and the causes of chronic health conditions among children. What we found yesterday was that a number of the citations in this report either were riddled with errors. For example, they listed the wrong author, or the wrong title, or some such. And some of them were just fabricated altogether. They didn't exist. They had the title of a paper, they listed a journal name, they listed a date, they listed an author, and no such paper existed. So the presence of these fabricated citations in the report obviously raises questions, according to the experts that we talked to, about the credibility of the report's findings. And certainly the researchers whose names were cited in the report attached to papers that they didn't write are very concerned about their names and reputations being used that way, and what it says about the underlying validity of the citations in the report.
So just to be clear, in short, there are entire papers that are cited that never existed. They certainly didn't exist in the journal they said, on the date they said, in the way they said. In addition to that, names of real people, maybe serious people, were used for things that they didn't do. Is that basically the bottom line here?
That's correct. We spoke, and Notice spoke as well, to a number of researchers whose names were listed in the bibliography of this report, saying, I'll give an example from our article, Catherine Keyes, a professor of epidemiology at Columbia. She was listed as the author of a paper about mental health and substance use among adolescents. And that paper that was cited in the report didn't exist. She spoke to my colleague, Danny Bloom, who is my co-author on this article, and said she did not write any paper by the title that the report cited, and nor does a paper by that title seem to exist by any author. And that's just one example. There are others.
Such good reporting and important reporting. So, Doctor, you've been working in healthcare, what, 50 years? You have an international reputation in children's health. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says these issues with the report, things like formatting, shouldn't invalidate the findings themselves. What did you say? What do you say?
Well, first of all, Chris, let's move away from the technical issues of actually a misinformed, lying document that was put out by the Secretary of HHS. And yeah, they lied about it. They fabricated citations. But at the end of the day, RF Kennedy Jr. is using this fabricated information to create policies and recommendations that affect the health of children. Millions and millions of lives will be affected by the nonsense that they put out in that report. It's really unconscionable. It's just really, it's hard to believe. And I do think that people need to focus on what this means. And what it means to me is a reinforcement of what we felt from the beginning when RFK Jr. was originally suggested as a potential nominee for Secretary of HHS. He's unqualified, he's unscientific, and he's promoting crazy ideas that are bad for America's children. And don't forget, he has the biggest public health platform and megaphone of any human being on the planet, Chris. And this is what we have to deal with now. You know, if he was working as an academic researcher at any kind of medical school, for example, and put this out, he would have been fired. And I think the senators who approved this confirmation and the medical organizations that remain silent need to now call for his resignation. He cannot remain in that office using misstated data and really dishonest data to drive critical public health policy that will affect children.
So yes, Kennedy is a fraud. Kennedy is one of the biggest frauds we ever elected to government, and he's going to get people killed. Just like DOGE and Musk got people killed overseas, this HHS secretary is going to get people killed in the United States of America because of his quackery, because of his lack of intellect. Well, the worm may be still in his brain. I don't know. But it is time, folks, for you to wake up, understand what's going on, and let it be known that you do know. Because if they know that you understand what's really going on in our government controlled by the authoritarian, the Führer by Donald Trump, then the Republican politicians that are currently scared of him would start to loosen up a bit when they realize that this is an emperor with no clothes. And an emperor with no clothes he is. And that is what we have to stress. The president is a fraud. We all know it. He's a dummy. We all know it. I love that. For a Better World says MAHA equals haha on Substack. And Adam W says because he is a sadist. And I think you're being kind when you call him a sadist, my brother. I mean, there is a special place in hell waiting for all these people and many of their followers, because when you distill the evil within that allows one to do these things. Again, I repeat, when you distill the evil within, it is hard to process what these folks are actually doing under. I mean, it is just simply hard to process. Let me get back to the other chat. Adam says, according to his family, he placed live mice in blenders. He had the same habit Jeffrey Dahmer had in placing animal carcasses into acid. And remember what he did in the park with that head of a bear or something like that. And Peggy Lopez has a very, very smart comment. And her comment is as follows. Intellect is not a requirement of entitlement. And that is so true. Once you're entitled in this country, you can attain anything. Okay? Once you are, and that's a sad thing, right? That is the sad thing. That is the sad thing. All right, here's the thing. Para ver. E2247, welcome aboard from all over. Peggy Lopez from California. U.S. in February cut $377 million worth of funding to the UN FPA. How do we tolerate U.S. enabling genocide by thirst and starvation? It is sad, but that's who we are today. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia says, a new modeling study estimates that removing fluoride from public water in the U.S. would lead to 25.4 million excess decayed teeth in children and adolescents within 5 years, along with $9.8 billion in healthcare costs. After 10 years, these impacts would be more than double to near 54 million excess decayed teeth and 19.4 billion. Again, that is what happens when you deal with dummies, right? When you deal with dummies, they don't have foresight. They can't think ahead. And the thing about it is we have to encourage the American people to leave the dummies alone. Let the dummies do the dumb things on their own, but let's elect real people. All right, Lee the Bearcat is in the house from Austin, Texas. Y'all, what is the Harris County stuff? The Harris County stuff is just a whole bunch of misinformation that's been pushed by Eric and a few other folks that have been in the chat, trying to mislead Americans, mislead Texans as to how good or not good our commissioner's judge is, which is young, smart, and Latina, and that's what they hate most about her because, again, you know a whole lot of people how they are around here. All right. Adam says a man collects animal skulls. By his admission, he cut a whale's head off at the beach with his children present, threw it on the roof of his vehicle, and took it home. And now he is in control of our health. That is sad, but it is true. Patrick says RFK Jr. used to hawk bottles of water with high levels of fluoride. Now he wants to ban it. It's amazing. Again, this guy has no soul, but we all knew that. We all knew that, and they chose him anyway. But as the good doctor said, he needs to be removed from that office immediately. He needs to be removed from that office immediately. Joe says, Dr. Doom, much respect, and smiles. Yeah, I get it, girl. I get it. You know the other thing. Well, I tell you what. Since it's already 29, I better go to the other video. This one here is the real. People. DOGE was a failure, right? It was a failure for cutting government. I repeat, DOGE was a failure for cutting government. You know what DOGE wasn't a failure for? Let's listen to what Michael Steele has to say, because I've been wondering. By the way, I did a video on this already. I did a video, if you go into my YouTube, about DOGE stealing your data. But here it is from Michael Steele. Today, Elon Musk is in the White House, and Donald Trump is praising all the great things he did with DOGE, and he's a great guy who owns all these companies that do good things. Of course, the reality, he's a failure, and he just simply capitalizes companies that some have some successes. Nothing more, nothing less. His DOGE operation was a complete failure. The Trump won't admit that, but it was a complete failure, from $2 trillion to what he claims to be 150 billions. And of course, even that is dubious. But as the first thing that concerned me is, if you listen to that press conference that Elon Musk and the president gave, I wasn't really, I have no bones to pick with either Musk or the president for that interview. But my God, were those questions horrendously terrible. That wasn't a press conference. That was the press asking him stupid questions and not holding him to task for the lies and the stupidity that he mentions when he talks about how bad the economy was when he got it, and how the rest of the world is loving his economy right now as being hot. The truth of the matter is, the rest of the world loved our economy previous to Donald Trump, and right now they hate it because, again, Donald Trump is playing bully with the world's economy. So it's a lie. It has always, and nobody called him out for that. He says all these things that make no sense. He couldn't quite explain what Musk actually did. He couldn't quite explain how the why there was a part where he said they're trying to connect wires to copper, not understanding that, no, President, the copper is the wire. And what's occurring in a lot of systems right now is connecting copper to fiber. In effect, having a fiber system, and again, and a lot of times having to introduce copper connections, etc., to bring it into older systems. But the guy is so dumb and dense, and instead of the press challenging him for the every other word stupidity that he says, they just, one of the questions was to Musk, which is harder, colonizing Mars or changing the federal government? What a stupid question. First of all, Elon Musk has no ability to colonize Mars, nor did he have an ability to change government. But what he had the ability to do is steal your data. And while we are all preoccupied with Elon Musk going to Mars, while we are all preoccupied with Elon Musk's failure with DOGE, while we are all preoccupied with the dissension between the purported dissension that's not real between Donald Trump and Musk, the real deal is what Michael Steele talked about. It's about all the contracts that Elon Musk got. But even more lucrative than the contracts was those servers that they left behind. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Listening to the criticism from Musk, Michael Steele, is that normally when someone criticizes the president, right, especially on something as big as the big, beautiful bill that he believes is going to transform government, he goes out of his way to basically take them out or marginalize them. So why do you think that Donald Trump is having this in the Oval Office, continuing to say and write the things he is about Elon Musk?
Because Musk is still useful to him. Look, the distancing of Elon Musk is not dramatic. It's not some, outside the norm news story. It is consistent with the process. He served his purpose early on. He was in a special federal position that had a limited time frame. So the whole idea that he was going to be there for 2 years never was going to be a reality because he was in a limited purpose job. Very specific, very specifically outlined in statute that it had a life to it. That life is up. He served his purpose. Trump got his $250 million on the front end. Musk has now gone into the federal government and put his servers in critical government buildings and operations and is collecting data. I mean, no one's talking about the fact that Musk is leaving the White House, but his computers are still in the building, still collecting data, still gathering your information, my information, everybody's information. What are we doing about that? So this is still a servicing for each other. Musk is still getting what he needs on the back end. His little, DOGE individuals have access and are still collecting that information. They're still in operation in many of the agencies as individuals. So, yeah, he's gone, but his people are still in the building doing what they're doing. So we're getting Musk is leaving. Stop it. This is part of the process. Musk is still engaged. His operations are still getting information, and his contracts got richer. That's the other side of this equation for him. So we're looking at the wrong stuff. I don't give a damn about Musk leaving the building. His stuff is still inside, gathering information and deconstructing our government. That's the story. But, everybody wants to focus on other stuff, his drug use. And hello, that's not news. We've known that. So it's just, and he's told us. So it's, for me, it's just more distraction to be caught up in the drama of a meeting between these two men who still have a symbiotic relationship and are getting what they want from each other. Yeah.
So Michael Steele nails it. Michael Steele tomó el martillo y pegó la clave. I mean, the truth of the matter is that what Donald Trump and Musk and these guys are good at doing is saying, look over there, don't look here. And most of the press follow their fingers and look over there. And many of them know that they should be looking elsewhere, but they're scared. They are scared. Well, you know what? We're not. The independent media is not. So we'll continue doing our job while these people completely ask the most silly questions at a press conference and allow the president to lie his way out. And because they don't challenge it, a lot of Americans believe the crap that he says. Absolutely so. And we have here For a better world is urging everybody, please call the Senate today to say no to the big bad budget bill. 202-224-3121. It is a passed. It will if it passes, it'll take Medicaid, affordable health care, food stamps, and education opportunities from millions, raise our national debt by trillions, line the pockets of our billionaires, and wreck our country. For a better world. Thank you for doing that. Make sure and post that message everywhere you are on the internet, everywhere you are in your emails. For a better world, you are, in fact, making a difference. This is what people don't get it, right? People think the little stuff that I do can't get it done. No, no, no. If enough of you are doing what brother or brother or sister, I don't know, for a better world what you are doing, if millions of you do that, put it in your feed, let the search engines realize that there are a lot of people that are anti big bad budget bill. When a lot of people know the results, they act. So everybody throw that stuff in there. Throw it in there. Adam says he knew there would be losses in a few places. Having our data is so much more valuable than Tesla. Exactly, Adam. Exactly. Welcome, Holly, Michael Burrell, Donna, Marge KJ, Nancy Rice, Adam W, Jean Muriel, Tracy Kolsbuski, Adam W. Look, I've been speaking to you, Adam W. So yeah, that is absolutely so. Let's see. I saw something from Patrick. Orbiter shows just the flight there and back alone will expose astronauts to 60% the lifetime radiation dose. There you go, bro. There you go. By the way, I want to correct something because I think Michael Cisak left beforehand. But Michael Cisak is on our chat right now, is one of the queens of disinformation here. And yesterday he put one up that really kind of went under my skin. And the reason it got under my skin is that it had to do with renewable energy. So what I did is to school him, I went ahead and got this document that I want everybody to go ahead and when he talks about about his solar panel hailstorm destroying 4K, etc. It was simply a myth. It was simply hogwash. And what I'm going to put that link in here for all of you to see, because yesterday he left everybody believing that a lot of solar cells were damaged in Texas. It was under 30%, and it was only in a field that didn't have the thing. There is the corroborated information for you guys to see, and not the nonsense that our brother Michael Cisak, a stooge for the right, continues to put into the feed. I mean, these guys would get themselves harmed, but they'll still put out the same nonsensical stuff from their Führer. It is as if being ignorant is, willful ignorance is one of the worst thing one can actually deal with, right? Willful ignorance is a dangerous thing. And that's what, but again, I disregard most of these guys, except for when I think something needs to be effectively correct these guys perfectly so, right? Eric, let me just, for all the newcomers in the field, our disinformation machines in our chat are two prolific disinformers, Eric Hayes and Michael Cisak. Those two guys, they're prolific in their putting out information from the right that generally you can guarantee are lies. But I want you guys to understand that it's there. And if you see something that you do want me to push back on, you can just go ahead and let me know, and we'll push back on it. But they're prolific. Prolific. They put out prolifically all this bad information, and much of it is race based. It has those race based undertones. But you'll see it, you'll know it. But I'm just letting you know that those are messages in effect most of the times you can disregard. All right, let's see what else we have here. Para ver. Patrick, I think I read Patrick's message already. Explorers will face that one I read. Arbiter shows just flight and back 60%. Wow, that is terrible. Maywood, that's a private conversation. I got one more video to show you, and then I'll take any calls that you guys want to put in here. Let's go with the call. Of course, Donald Trump continues his lying about the tariffs, etc., etc., etc. Well, today, a few days ago, I released a piece, I think it was about 11 minutes or so, that explains exactly how tariffs work and why it is that the president really needs to have it. It has a lot to do with his tax reduction bill. He wants to stiff the American people so that he can collect enough money to pay the rich people off with their tax cuts. That's not hyperbole. That's a statement of fact. Now, that said, Professor Justin Wolfers of the University of Michigan actually has an example to show us exactly, not just in theory, what's going to happen when these tariffs come into effect. He actually has the numbers of what actually occurred, because it's not like Donald Trump hadn't done this tariff things before. I mean, not this grandiose, but hadn't done it before. He did it with washing machines. And the thing about it is, while you do it with washing machines with the expectation that you raise the prices of the foreign washing machines so that your industry, whose natural price is likely higher than the imported product, would actually make more machines, put it more into the ethos, and have a good adjustment for their pricing. The exact opposite in the long run happened. And the reason why is, in a capitalist society, none of this stuff is for you. It is always to maximize profits for the shareholders, and maximizing profits for the shareholders for an American company after they get a tax break in the form of you paying a tariff. Because remember, when you pay a tariff and you buy that washing machine, you're paying twice. But that is for another day. That is for another day. But anyhow, I want you to listen to the professor, and then we'll take it on the other side.
This morning, President Trump's tariffs are back in effect for now as the legal battle plays out. The whiplash rulings threaten to destabilize a pillar of the president's economic agenda. The Trump administration maintains that they are confident they will win this appeal, and they insist that these tariffs will help American businesses and consumers. Right now, we're going to fact check that claim. The Trump administration maintains that companies will eat the cost of tariffs, and this will have no big effect on consumers. What actually determines who bears the brunt of the tariffs?
Like everything in life, Anna, this is supply and demand. But let's talk about it in terms of choices. So say the president puts a $100 tariff on washing machines. That would immediately mean that an American had to pay more. Now, you might go back and you'd say to Samsung or LG, boy, your washing machines are more expensive. Could you eat some of the cost for me? That's what the president hopes will happen. And it really depends. Does that foreign company have a lot of other options? If they could sell that washing machine in the United Kingdom for a pretty good price, why would they offer you a lower price in order to sell it in the United States? So if that's the case, if the washing machine company has lots of other options, then you, the American consumer, is going to end up eating the higher tariffs. The thing the White House is hoping for is, let's say the washing machine was one that could only be sold in the United States. Maybe it doesn't meet European regulations. Now I say, hey, can I have a discount, or else I can't afford to buy that washer? Well, Samsung's already made the washer. They can't sell it elsewhere. So they might have to offer me a discount. They eat the cost, therefore, in order for me to go ahead and buy it. And so who eats the cost is all about who has the most other options. This is where it's important to remember, America's only a small part of the world. We think we're big. But often these big companies have lots of other countries they could sell stuff to, which is why they're less likely to volunteer, or quite unlikely to volunteer, to eat the cost of the tariff.
Let's stick with our washing machine comparison, because in 2018, Trump actually placed a 20% tariff on imported washing machines, which he then later rose to 50%. So what happened? What impact did that have on American consumers and companies? It's
a great question, Anna, because we just went from talking about economic theory to what happened, empirics. And the short version of this story is that in 2018, President Trump put, roughly speaking, a $100 tariff on imported washing machines. Very quick, only on washing machines, not on other equipment. And so very quickly what you saw is, in fact, that washing machines rose in price by $100. So there it looks like American consumers had to pay the full amount of the tariff. A couple of years later, the tariff ended. And all of a sudden, washing machines fell in price by about $100. So you've got two experiments there that show in that particular case of washing machines that every dollar of the tariff got passed on to American consumers.
One big argument for these tariffs is that it's going to encourage people to buy American. Did that work back in 2018?
Sort of. So let me tell you the first problem. Sometimes people say, oh, if they put tariffs on foreign goods, it's easy to escape that, just buy American. But actually what happened in 2018 was they put tariffs on foreign washing machines. And so very quickly, LG and Samsung raised their price the way we just described would happen. And guess what happened to the American-made washing machines who didn't face the tariff? They discovered their competitors had jacked up their prices by $100. So you know what they did? They jacked up their prices by $100 as well.
Yeah. So I guess the bottom line here is what is the key takeaway in terms of how much Americans will pay when it comes to tariffs?
Right. So the professor in me has to say it depends. Remember, what it depends on is, does the seller have a lot of other choices? Does the buyer have a lot of other choices? But remember, America is not the whole global economy. So when we're talking about global trade, more often than not, the seller has lots of other markets that he or she could sell to. They're not going to bother cutting their prices to sell to Americans when they could just sell them abroad. So a very simple rule of thumb is, for each $100 in tariffs, you, the American consumer, will end up paying probably $70 of it. The company that you buy it from, the American company, say Home Depot, well, they might have to reduce their margins by a little bit, say $15, and that reduces their profitability, which of course affects your 401k. And it is true that there is a kernel of truth to what the president says, which is that often we get the foreign sellers to reduce their prices. Maybe they eat 15% of the cost of any tariffs.
The professor nails it. But I think the professor was a bit too cautious because he's saying, well, if this happened, look, we know what's going to happen. We know that in a capitalist society, the corporations will not eat the cost, even if it takes them a little bit before they start increasing the prices so that this tariff stuff is out of the mainstream media. And after it leaves the mainstream media, they slowly ink the prices up and overshoot to recover what they didn't recover from when it was hot item under the media. That's what they're going to do. So my brothers and sisters, the fight isn't to wait until something happens. The fight is to prevent it from happening in the first place. That means ensuring that we minimize all the evil deeds that will come from the big, beautiful bill, meaning we try to stop it all together. And if we can't, we force them to do different. But whatever the case is, landslide in 2026 is a must to ensure that whatever passes this administration can be overridden thereafter. It is a must. We got to do it, folks. Absolutely. So we've got to do it. We've got to do it. We've got to do it. Okay, the lines are open. The lines are open. 281-823-7747. Anybody want to call in? 281-823-7747. Lo voy a repetir una vez más. 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. If anybody wants to call, Paul Fleming says, why won't Republicans in Congress just pass a tariff law and spare Trump the legal battle? Because they don't want it. Because Jen Psaki explains they will are widely damaging to the economy and widely unpopular in the public's view. Let's see what else we've got here. Para ver. We have an unitemized tariff results in the consumer paying taxes on taxes. There you go, Doozy Gillespie. You nailed it. Doozy Gillespie. All right, what else have we got here? Para ver. ICE arrests daughter of U.S. Navy veteran locked in jail over a month. She was separated from lawyer and detained without medicine. Agents crashed her wheelchair into the wall. Oh my God! Born in the Philippines while her father served in the Navy. Oh my God, that is terrible. Hello, Mr. Brackens. How are you doing today? Talk to me.
Top of the day to you, or end of the day, I should say. But yeah, man, these tariffs is just ridiculous. How I had a meeting today actually with Beto O'Rourke,
Mm-hmm.
and we were in a group of people, and we were just kind of having a discussion about how can we bring people back, that population
Right.
of our Texas residents, like the Latino men, and that small population of black men, and basically it's all going to economics. And one thing I had said in the group, and I always say this, is that until we are able to help people connect their pain to whoever is in power, I can't tell you how many times I've walked up to people's doors in the community and I ask them, who are you voting for? And they proudly say, oh, I never voted, or I don't vote. Proudly
I
say
know.
that because they
Yeah.
feel like at this point in their life, politics has nothing to do with any material advancement they've had. And as far as they're concerned, whoever is in power, as long as they keep going to work, keep paying their bills, whatever happens over there in the political world has no bearing on them. And
And
until we can
yeah.
change that mentality and make people understand, hey, while you're working, there's supposed to be somebody working for you. And if you don't do your part to make sure that those people still have an opportunity to work on your behalf, you're going to wake up one day and notice a lot of stuff is not the way it used to be. And you're going to take some responsibility for it. You might not want to, but it's going to ultimately be your responsibility and the responsibility of the community to make sure that we keep people in power who have our best interests. And I'm tired of people saying that the Republican Party is the economically sound party. What can we do? I'm going to just turn it back to you and say, what can we do to kill that narrative? Because, they don't have our best interests in mind. And yet there's people that say, well, when they were in power, I was making more money, or I had more retirement, or something like that. How do you speak to those people?
I am so glad you brought that up, and it is so important. First of all, everybody should be listening to you and all the folks at tops that are actually flesh to flesh, blood to blood, face to face, meeting the people that nobody talks to. The mere fact that you told that story says that nobody talks to those people, right? Nobody has spoken to them. They haven't felt the touch of anybody. Those consultants in Washington making $10,000, $20,000 a month to give advice to the Democratic Party, right? That is, I wrote a paper a couple of weeks ago that it pissed off a lot of folks at Daily Kos, but I stand by that paper. It is our fault. I don't mean your fault, Ray. I'm talking about the leadership of the Democratic Party that is a neoliberal leadership. If you listen to Maxwell Frost yesterday, you'll hear exactly what we need to do. And I'm sorry I didn't tape that and put it on. But Maxwell Frost, a young 20-something-year-old congressman out of Florida, he nails it. He can speak to young people, he can speak to everybody and give them what they have at stake. But you see, as long as we seed the crap, let's look in our chat, right? In our chat, we have mostly smart folks who understand what the Trump administration is doing to all of us. But then we have the loudest people in the chat just spewing crap. And they and a lot of folks, because of those people's because of their perseverance in pushing crap, it seems that they are right. And a lot of people look at that. Look, Ray, I'm not talking about you, but there are a lot of folks after they talk. We
Well,
want to do
obviously,
this.
I
We want to
never
do
think.
right. We want to do this. We want to do that. But we do nothing. Look, I spend 16 hours a day flooding the zone. You know that. You know that. You've come and met that. If I'm not doing politics done right, I am also doing HPJC. If I'm not doing HPJC, I'm doing. I mean, we are flooding the zone and doing stuff to make a difference. But you are only one person. Brother Patrick is only one person. You know, we need to have the organization that get together and do it all. And that is where when you listen to an activist congressperson like Maxwell Frost, or when you look at somebody like AOC and these different people, you are the ones that's going to make a difference. And that person that says they don't care, it is okay to leave that person's home, not that says don't care, and let them know I'll be back to visit you, and also let them know about what is it that will change for them. What will not some right now the rank and file Democrats would just care about things that messes with their 401k or something these people that you talk to don't know about no damn 401k. They don't. And so we have to bring it home to them. You know what Trump did to bring it home to a lot of Latinos in certain places? Tips, no tax on tip. Simple as that. No tax on tip. He came out with that idea up front and he publicized that. And they're like, oh, he's doing something for me. But the Trump's no tax on
So let
tips.
me speak on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me speak on that. The thing about it is, why do people find the reason to believe him when he says that? That's what I'm saying. It's like we as a community, as a society, need to have a better lens on who is trustworthy, even if they renege. You got people like Fetterman and Sinema and all those people, but at the end of the day, who is best suited to be able to push them in the direction you need? And that's what people need to understand.
Brother, let me just say this, right? The problem is this. Trump will lie and say he's going to do something for these people and not do it. Neoliberal Democrats know they don't have any intent on doing it, and they simply don't lie to the folks to say they're going to do it. I am saying we don't need neither. We need neither the neoliberal Democrats or the MAGA Republicans or the Republicans for that matter. What we need are progressives of whatever party. We need progressives out there saying, no, it's not about no tax on tips. Because when you go into the detail, tax on tip is crap, right? And let me tell you why. Because those people who are receiving tips generally don't pay income taxes anyway, because what they call the standard deduction is too high for them to make tips money. But here's the funny part. The difference between tax on tips from Donald Trump and tax on tips from Kamala Harris is there was a limit. The tax on tip from Trump originally would have allowed a stockbroker to get paid as a tip. And let's say he got paid $100,000. He called that a tip and he pays no taxes on it. People have to understand how they've been hoodwinked. But look, we're at 4:00 and I got to go. But like usual, thank you for bringing an intelligent topic for discourse, my brother.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, Egberto.
You too, my brother. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. But before I get out of here, I need to do our ask. And that ask is please support the program. I think I'm now 585 away from the number that the paid subscribers that I need. I think a couple of days ago I was at 590. I'm at 585 now. So if you could either become a paid subscriber, if you can, encourage others to become paid subscribers of our newsletter. I'm going to put that into the chats right now. By the way, anybody who become paid subscribers of our network, of our newsletter, immediately have access to all 5 of my books and all subsequent books that I write. So, I mean, I'm, you get a little something for your subscription. And again, we also have these little chats that we do on Substacks every so often and I'm talking about visual chats, and sometimes I'll put you on as well. So please go to this link, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And I'm putting that in the chat, right, in both chats right now. And if you go to that link, you can become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. When I get 580 something more, I'll get a new badge on Substack that put me into the other tier. That would even help promote our message that much better. So I ask you so kindly, those of you who can, please, please go ahead and reward the hard work that we do here and support us by becoming paid subscribers at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I'll do so one more time in the links, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Become a paid subscriber. Help us raise those 585 more that we need to do. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. You guys have a wonderful weekend. I may do a couple of Substacks live and open it up this weekend, depending on what I see covered on the news. I may do a couple of those this weekend. So I want to thank you for listening. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Welcome to